Elder Scrolls Online is one of those MMOs that YouTubers always list in their top games of the year, and the MMO I haven't touched yet since it came out in 2014. Even though the game had a bad launch in 2014, it has gone a long way and had numerous DLCs, expansions, and other improvements. Currently, the game is sitting at very positive review on Steam and has about 16,000 concurrent players from Steam alone. Why play ESO? I was going to try out Black Desert again and its new expansion, until I remembered. Yeah, maybe not. ESO for the past 8 years has constantly been on Steam sales, so I decided to get the base game first, play a few hours, and see if I will enjoy it. Well, more than 100 hours later,
show our visitors how bright a new day can burn.
given that this game released 8 years ago, it still holds up surprisingly well in terms of performance, visuals, and overall gameplay. And for some reason, this game has FSR options when New World can't even have one. For an 8-year-old game, graphics still look stunning, especially in some zones with dense forest or swampy areas. The base game alone has 23 zones to explore if I'm not mistaken, each having different biomes, specific zone storyline, and a good amount of collectibles. If that's not enough for you, major DLCs offer new zones to explore that comes with new features as well. What's nice about exploring these zones and progressing the story is that the voice acting in this game is actually quite good. Given that you may find some pretty generic, most I would say are decent. I didn't even know Bill Nye voiced one of the characters here until I heard his familiar voice.
This will be remembered as the place where the Imperials made their last stand in Bankorai.
I don't usually play MMOs for the story, but ESO actually made me not skip on some questlines. I'm not saying ESO is the best story out there, but it's actually not terrible. And each dungeon has their own story tied to them. If you're someone who wants to play MMOs with a decent story and good storytelling, you will find that in Elder Scrolls Online. Another nice thing in ESO is that there is scaling in this game. So it doesn't matter which zone you start, and you don't have to worry about messing up the order of how you clear zones. You may not feel powerful enough progressing to max level, but once you reach the endgame passives and focus on gear sets, you will notice the difference. ESO has a max level of 50, and once you hit max level, you unlock what they call champion points, which opens up more ways to customize your character with how you want it to be. The game offers a lot of skill lines which are like skill trees, and there are no restrictions on what weapon or armor you can use on your class, though some pieces are more efficient than others depending on your class or build. Gameplay wise, to be honest, I never really thought I would enjoy ESO combat. It's easy and very impactful. Another thing I love in ESO is the Transmog. Each race has different visual appearances of armors and weapons. You unlock them by playing that race, or you unlock them by learning motifs, which are like patterns or schematics that you get from rewards, looting, or trading with other players. And there are a ton of designs to collect in the game. Some are harder to get than others, and some are locked behind DLCs. But that's fine. There's still much to collect from the base game alone. I probably said all of my good first impressions of the game. It's time for the bad, and there is some. Firstly, as you notice my UI, this is not the default UI. These are add-ons or mods. And yes, they are allowed. The default UI in ESO, well, pretty much sucks in my opinion. I had to use a different one for my health bars just to have the traditional look. And second, I'm using a minimap since I always use my map and don't want to keep pressing M just to see the vicinity. I know the compass exists, but the map is what I usually use to check the area. Lastly, I had to use an add-on that shows the quest givers on the map, because by default, if I remember correctly, they only appear if you are in the proximity of the NPC. Having this add-on certainly improves the overall experience. Now it's time for the Crown Store. Oh boy, the Crown Store. The only problem I have with the Crown Store are probably the rates. I mean, I have no problem with the DLC prices. They go about $30 for the major zone DLCs, and around $15 for the smaller or dungeon DLCs. I just don't agree with some of the products like convenience items going for 5,000 crowns, which is like $35 or more. Then you have housing that goes for like $40 to $100. There's one at the store right now that goes for like 14,000 crowns, which is what, $100. Path of Exile has hideouts for sale, but they can get away with it since the base game is literally free. Also, the motifs or skin recipes go for 5,000 crowns. I don't even know if I pay that much, not unless they really look good. You do get 1,500 crowns monthly for being subscribed to ESO Plus. And being a member for many months, your crown accumulates, so maybe that's why the prices are what they are. I don't know. I know you don't need them in order to play the game. And it actually doesn't bother me that much, given the fact that you can buy crowns with in-game gold. Well, not directly, but it's a common thing in ESO. So there's that. To summarize my thoughts on ESO, it's been great, aside from the crown store. The base game alone offered so much content. I spent around 116 hours on just one class and barely scratched the surface. I haven't even done the other regions yet, specifically the DLC zones, nor have I actually done Alliance Wars. While I have done some matchmaking PvP, there's still more to explore with Alliance Wars. Elder Scrolls Online may not be the best MMO out there right now, but it certainly is a fun game to play, even casually. Though I would recommend grabbing ESO on sale, so if you ever decide to stick around, you can always subscribe to ESO Plus to get your money's worth. And speaking of, ESO is actually on sale right now until August 31. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next.